Not yet. Yep.
Hey, I'm Dart.
I'm Lisa.
Hey, how's it going today? Today it's part two of just talking about the five pillars of asset protection. So, Lisa, how do we define asset protection?
Oh, that's protecting your assets from anything or anyone who can take them while you're living or after you die.
That's right. That's right. Now, asset protection planning in general is about erecting the barriers to difficulty for impossible for creditors to get to your personal business assets while you're living or in death. But what is asset protection not?
It's not about committing fraud.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. No. Yeah. There are legal ways to do it.
And yes, so we're not suggesting anything otherwise.
Right.
So I think this is a great time for a disclaimer of this is educational purposes only.
Right.
And everyone has their own path.
Right.
It's just to encourage you to think about some of these things ahead of time.
That's right.
So yes,
seek professional advice on legal and taxation. So to recover or to recap, the five pillars are lawsuits, IRS, stock market, insurance, and estate planning.
Yes.
Okay.
So yesterday we talked about lawsuits, and today we're going to talk about what?
The IRS.
I know what you're thinking. Like, not that word.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Right. So
we don't make the laws.
We don't. And I tell you, and there are two sets of rules when it comes to the IRS. There are rules for the informed, and there's rules for the uninformed.
Yes, but it's just as important to know what the IRS tax codes say. Don't say is what they do say. Sorry.
It's okay.
Well, I love that. One of our dearest friends is CPA, and that's right. His matcha.
Right.
It's
just as important to know what the tax code doesn't say as it is what it does say.
Yes.
Because the IRS is your number one guaranteed creditor every single year. And based on.
But we're not telling anybody anything they don't know.
Absolutely
they
not.
Realize, yeah. Right?
But something you might not know is that there are three tax buckets to the IRS code. And there's the tax rules for while you're working is slightly different from when you retire.
Exactly.
Because bringing in Social Security. And so having the three different tax buckets, there's taxable now or every year. You're used to that.
Right.
There's also where it can be a tax postponement, tax deferred, and then taxable when you take it out. And then you can pay the taxes now. It gives you a tax postponement and then tax free later on. And so there's multiple places. Yeah. So, but it takes diversifying within your tax buckets. It's just as important as diversifying investments in your portfolio. And so that's one of the things that we have people do all the time.
Absolutely.
So, right.
So another big one that people get concerned about are capital gains.
Right.
With the housing market, it just we're not going to talk about the housing market.
No. We're talking about capital gains because that capital gains is it could be real estate, could be it could be a car, it could any asset that's getting
your
sold,
brokerage accounts,
and things like that. So proper planning to protect against that. And we see people, like business, worried about selling at capital gains, real estate. And it's like we see people get locked up and we call it letting the tax tail wag the dog.
Yes.
And so if it's we love to see everybody do planning and save as much capital gains as possible.
Yes.
However, if you need to sell it, want to sell it, if it's the time to sell it, don't let the tax tail wag the dog. Don't let it get locked up. Figure it out what it is, what it costs, and just get it done.
Yes.
So.
And let's talk about estate taxes.
Okay.
And sometimes people don't care, but for the most part, I think that you make a plan and you want to leave something to your beneficiaries, to your children, or even to 501c3s, whatever that is. But I think it's important to think about those things ahead of time.
Yeah. I think the biggest, there are some estate taxes, but really we're going to roll into just making a good estate plan and getting the legal documents in place so that what is in your head will be executed after you're gone.
Well, that's a good way to put that, Dart.
Yeah. Because we sit down with a lot of people and they have all these plans and they say, well, I've got this will. Well, how do you know? But I want to do this, this, and this, and this, and the will doesn't do that. So does it need to be a trust? Another, from a creditor aspect, just putting your assets into a revocable living trust is helpful in probate, but it may not be helpful in protecting from lawsuits. So
yeah, which I think we'll talk about that more in detail later this week when we get to estate planning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, and you may think also too that you don't have enough money that you have a state tax problem. However, things change, and so there's a sunset that can happen where it can go back down to a lower amount. So those things happen and change. You need to stay up to date on that also.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. I think it feels like that seems maybe a little on the top. We're just kind of covering the surface,
right?
But I think it's important to think about these things ahead of time.
Right. So, absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.
All right.
No, see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Right.
Have a great day.